Hello, my name is James Kent. I moved here on August 1st from Kansas City, Missouri to beautiful Boquete, Panama. I took the tour with Jackie and went around the country and decided I wanted to be here in Boquete because it reminded me of New England, which is where I am originally from. People ask, why did I choose moving to Panama? Well, when I was young, I lived on a military base. My father was stationed in the Navy. I don't remember very much about living here at that time, but my mother always talked about how much she loved Panama and she loved the people, and if she could ever come back, she would. I thought about leaving Kansas City, and I looked around living in America, and it was so expensive, and then I remember what my mother said. So I looked up Panama, and it was considered one of the best places to retire. So I did some investigation, and I looked into different ways. In 2016, I took a trip to Panama City with this other company, and it really didn't explain to me what's involved to move here. So I went back home, I thought some more about it, and then I decided in 2018 that I am going to move. And I went and Googled Panama, and Panama Relocation Tours came up. The more I read about it, the more interested I was, and that's what I'm looking for, what it takes to move here. And I came down here, fell in love with the country, and that's why I moved to Panama. So it's sort of like a history of that. I feel like I was always meant to be here in Panama. But when I first moved here, I lived downtown. I met this woman, Rachel, on Jackie's tour, and she helped me acquire an apartment. So the day I moved in, when I came here, I had a place to live. Living downtown has its good and its bad. The good is you can walk to everything. The taxis, the buses, it's very good. But the parking is very difficult, and during the festivals and so forth, it's very noisy. And being American, I need to have a car. So after about 3 weeks of living downtown and walking around, I got a car and I started driving around, and I started looking at different areas. I met this wonderful woman, Yelena. We started going out and doing things together, and she started showing me around, and we found this beautiful house for rent in Alte Boquete near Wilson Bridge. So we contacted the owner, and he offered us a good deal on it. And I said, well, I've always lived in a house. I always want to have a house. Downtown is good. So we ended up moving here to Alte Boquete, and we love every minute of it. I got beautiful mountains outside the door. The wind blows through the house. We can walk to the bakery. We can walk to the store. We can walk to the corner, grab a cab, and we're less than 10 minutes from downtown by car. I had several concerns about why I decided also to move to Panama. One of them was a social issue. I found that American people have become much more angrier, much more divided. It was just not people were just not pleasant that much anymore. Finding a happy, positive person was not easy. So I decided that I needed a change. I needed some fresh air. I needed some adventure in my life rather than getting up and going and every day in the same place. Also, the financial end of it. I worked for the U.S. Postal Service. I retired postmaster at 27 years, so I have a pension, but it's not quite enough to live comfortably in America, so I had to work a part-time job. I said, well, I can move to Panama. I won't have to work a part-time job. Usually when you rent a place in Panama, it comes furnished. But the furniture is not exactly what I would call decorator design furniture. It's basic furniture, it's practical and works. But I personally enjoy decorating and other ideas. So we rented this house, Yelena and I, and we went out and we bought new furniture, we bought rugs, curtains, we went crazy because it was unfurnished. And we tried to make it look like a New York City apartment, a little touch of America, I guess. I can't get that out of my. But everyone that comes here loves the house. It's bright, it's airy, it's beautiful. And if you're willing to put some effort into the house to make it yours, that's great. But strongly, and they will tell you this, everyone will tell you, rent. Do not buy until you've been here for a year or two, because it may not work for you. Sometimes I have problems with water. Sometimes my internet goes out, my cable goes out, my power goes out. Well, that's part of living here. When that happens, get a flashlight, pick up a book, start reading a book, go for a walk, because the weather's always beautiful. The other expenses you have to keep in mind is your automobile insurance is a lot less money than America. And the big thing is the health insurance. I currently do not have health insurance here in Panama. I still have my Medicare supplemental insurance in America, but I am planning on getting health care next month. One of the reasons why I decided to wait is I wanted to get my permanent pensionado visa. It took me 4 months to get my visa. When I first came here, I had everything I had thanks to the tour. I was able to contact the lawyers. I got all the paperwork I needed. So when I got here on August 1st, on August 11th, I had a temporary visa through a lawyer in DV. I just last week went to Panama City and got my permanent visa. So now I can stay here as long as I want. So now that's when I'm going to start thinking about health insurance and putting down some serious roots in Panama. Health insurance costs, I don't want to tell you any costs because I'm not sure, but I will tell you, if you do need to see a doctor here in Panama, there's an excellent doctor in Boquete. There's several. Dr. Gomez, I went and saw him. It was $12 to see the doctor. No appointment necessary. They're even there on Saturdays. I needed to get a filling. I had a filling pop out of one of my teeth. I went to the dentist that someone recommended. I got full taken care of with the filling and so forth. It cost me $60, and she did it on a Saturday. A wonderful woman. So there's good medical care here. When I moved here in August, one of my concerns was that I'm a single man, and meeting people was gonna be important to me. Luckily, I got to be friends with the lady Rachel, and she contacted a fellow musician in Boquete, Panama. I am a musician. I have played music all my life. I play bass, I play guitar. I studied music in the United States. I used to teach music at a school. So I have a strong background in music, and she introduced me to this fellow, and he said, yeah, I could use a bass player. On when you coming? I said, August 1st. I showed up August 1st at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Rachel had the keys to the apartment. I moved my stuff in. Michael came over at 4 o'clock. We went over to The Rock, which is a restaurant here in town, and I was playing my bass that night. The first day I showed up, I had a gig, a paying gig. I worked with Michael. We did a lot of musical instruments, and unfortunately, sadly, Michael passed away. I've recently found some other musicians, and we're playing music regular every week. I get involved with the Boquete community players. They do shows, theater shows, musicals, and so forth. But there's other ways to meet people. I'm fortunate that I have that music as a connection. So people ask me, what are some of the good things and the bad things? Well, for me, the good things is, first of all, is I met Yelena. And we have been together since the last 2 or 3 months. And she has helped me do many things. I've become very friendly with her family, and we walk around town, and she knows everybody. And I get to meet a lot of great, wonderful Panamanian people, and she gets to meet a lot of the crazy gringos that I know. So that's a very positive thing about being here. The bad thing is I was in Panama City when I first moved here, and I had to go to the embassy. If you want to get a license, you have to go to the U.S. Embassy to get a driver's license. I lost my passport in Panama City, which is really not a good thing. Luckily, her daughter lives in Panama City, and she went and found my passport for me at the ministry. So that was a really bad thing to happen. The other bad thing is just to people coming here is Panamanian people are wonderful people until they get behind the wheel of a car. They are very impatient sometimes. They have what they call the game of life, where if there's an inch, they're going to take it. So you got to be aware, and you'll hear a lot of beeping. They love to beep the horn like New York City. And when you drive, you got to be aware of this. And if you go to Davie or drive in Panama City, it's like Boston without traffic lights. It is even crazier. But that's the way it is. You're in this country. You're a guest in this country. That's how they drive. That's how it is. So you're not going to change them. So just try to do the best you can. I like to have Yelena drive every once in a while because she's fearless, because that's what they do. Well, what advice would you give to someone moving to Panama? Well, the advice that you will learn when you get here is you want to rent before you buy. Be patient. They do things differently here. Uh, you gotta have to have a different mindset that when you live, because you're living in a different country. But the most important advice I can give is what happened to me last week in Panama City. I met a couple at the lawyer's office who are moving here, and they came down on their own, and they're getting their temporary visa, and they're going to drive around the country trying to decide where they want to live. So I started telling them about the things that I learned by going on the Panama Relocation Tour, about the discounts that you get if you have a visa. They knew nothing about the discounts. I told them about the different areas. They knew nothing about the different areas. So I'm looking at them saying, well, you got a lot to learn about living here, and that's why the best advice I can give is to take the Panama Relocation Tour. I mean, what if I said to you, I know a company that will pick you up, take you around the country, provide you with your hotels, your food, your transportation. You'll leave with a booklet of all the contact numbers. They'll talk to you about lawyers, introduce you to landlords, explain healthcare, health insurance to you, show you the different areas, how much it costs to live here. That's what Panama Relocation Tours does.